Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Today I'm going to be telling you guys a really cool story. But before we get started, make sure you guys give this video a huge like, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Today's story is going to be called The Destroyer of Worlds. And what today's story is about a very wealthy and powerful man who had recently been elected for president and used his own fame and power to change the world, starting by his country by his own means. Millions of people loved him and millions of people hated him. So one day he made a chemical antidote with billions of dollars worth of research alongside with the best doctors and scientists to cure cancer, but it turns out it was something much worse. And yeah, that was pretty much the preview of the story, and now let's get started with the real story. So one day in the fall of 2016, it was election day and hundreds of people were trying to run for president, and there were 5 people competing for the highest position in the country. Then there was this one man that came in out of nowhere and surpassed all the highest candidates competing and took the position to become president. He was one of the richest, if not the richest man in the country. He was a real estate tycoon, movie star, and a TV sensation, and now will have the title of becoming president of the United States. Millions and millions upon millions of people were shocked. Some were eager to see him as president, and others were very distraught of getting him title of becoming president. The president's name was Henry Mangiare. Henry has won many of the state's attention, and as much as he loved trying to get the crowd to cheer for him, there were lots of angry people who knew that he was a lost cause for the country and the world. Henry tried to tweak laws, make security stronger, and even make general welfare 10 times better. Even after billions upon billions of dollars worth of investments of trying to buy people's heart, Henry just couldn't do it, so he tries this one last thing to try to win the people's heart. So after so many errors and strikes that he has committed during his presidency, he finally decides to go to the House of Representatives and Congress to do the biggest investment in the history that no other president has ever done, and would cause a massive meltdown to the Department of Treasury, and most of the economies would be in recession nationwide. After months of debating back and forth, Henry finally got a valid signed check from Congress and the House of Representatives for $3.5 trillion. So Henry finally starts the process of his first ever project of creating the antidote for the cure of all cancer and diseases. So Henry hires the best doctors and scientists from all over the world to test out science experiments for a single pint of antidote for the cure of every cancerous diseases out there. After hundreds upon hundreds of hours of working, blood, sweat, and tears, and millions of dead lab rats, Henry bursts into rage and destroys everything in his office. Then he received a letter from the Secretary of the State asking him to stop this madness. So Henry finally shuts down everything, but little did they know he kept a few things to himself so he could work on the cure of cancer in secret. So Henry had one final idea, and what Henry did was he sent John, who was the Vice President of the United States. So Henry sent John and the Secret Service agents to go to Guam, and they go and retrieve the prisoner of war, one of the deadliest prisoners of war, who was known for inflicting pain to hundreds of millions of people with some of the nastiest gases, a variety of chemicals used for solar nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, which he had gotten special supplies from the black market and different terrorists from the world. His name was Franklin Baskin. Luckily for him, John and his associates retrieved Franklin from his death chair. The day he was sentenced to death, they saved him from the day he was sentenced to death, and they brought Franklin back to the city of DC. After John brings Franklin Baskin into this huge warehouse in DC, Henry finally introduces himself to Franklin Baskin and tells him of his plans of what he wants Franklin to do for him. And then Franklin says, "Well, what's in it for me?" Henry says, "Well, didn't we just save you from your execution chair that was happening now 2 hours ago?" And then Franklin was like, "You're right," and then he proceeds to help Henry find the antidote for the cure of cancer. So after 2 hard weeks, Franklin finally finds the perfect cure for cancer after he tests it on one of the lab rats, and the lab rats ended up becoming perfectly healthy after 5 long minutes of everyone waiting in suspense for this lab rat to finally be okay. After Henry sees that the cure of cancer has been made, Henry tells Franklin to make 10,000 more. So after a week later, Franklin finally grants Henry's wishes, and then Henry goes to the Secretary of the State and shows the Secretary of the State the antidote. And even though the Secretary of the State already told Henry to stop this blasphemous project, Henry still went against their word and made the cure for cancer. And the Secretary of the State forgives Henry and then finally signs the contract to give Henry the go to distribute 10,000 of the special antidote to cure all cancer. And then Henry realizes he left Franklin at the warehouse all by himself. And then Henry was really embarrassed, so he and his associates run to the warehouse as soon as possible before Franklin could do something really bad that could affect the world. But Henry was already too late, because what Franklin had done before all of the 10,000 antidotes were shipped to the hospices, to the mental hospitals, to other hospitals, he had put a tiny pint of his own poison that Franklin made during this operation during this whole experiment that he was doing for Henry. He put this poison where it was a biological chemical that would affect the human brain and do some crazy, outrageous things, which were mutants. He would turn them into mutants. So once Henry runs to Franklin, once Henry tries to stop Franklin tells Henry that the antidote that he had drunk before his appointment with the Secretary of the State was poison, and the chemicals would affect him within an hour, and it was super contagious just by breathing. And the Secretary of the not only does Henry already have it, but the Secretary of the State has gotten it too, most likely. And once John and his associates pull out the gun from the holster, what Franklin does he puts on the gas mask and he throws the antidote on the floor. As it splashes, it makes a crazy gas chemical reaction. Franklin runs out freely as John and his associates drowns with the gas breathing into their lungs. Then hours later, the president dies, John's associate dies, and then the antidote that has reached to all of the hospices and illness areas and mental illness institutions have all been affected by this antidote, and they've all become mutants, which were outrageously crazy sparks in their brain that they caused to fight each other in the whole world, and the whole cities were starting to be affected, in states, and then the antidote started to go overseas, and then it affected half of the human population in the entire world. And everything was chaotic, and everything went down from the shreds, and that was all thanks to the $1 trillion idea that the President of the United States had created. And that is pretty much the entire video I have for you guys, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you guys did, give this video a huge like, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys in the next video. Also, comment down below what story scenarios you guys want me to talk about, and I'll be able to create the stories for you. And yeah, leave it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.